Welcome to Hamim Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Welcome back to Meanwhile, Dan. This is our second part of the final dossier. We're back for the back half of the final dossier. Are you ready? Are you ready to jump in?
We got so much good stuff back here. Everything in the front half was great. This stuff, though, man, I'm really looking forward to this.
I don't need to tell you all that it released on October 31st, 2017, because we
know.
did that in part one.
We know that.
We're not the type of podcast to just rehash and go over old stuff that we've already covered, unless you like old stuff that came out in 1992 and was taken off the air after 3 episodes. Dan, of course, I'm talking about On the Air. We launched the official, what did I say it was?
Put on the air, on the air.
Put on the air, on the air.
Put on the air, on the air.
Listen, first off, thank you, and I mean this, to all the people out there that liked the video, they reshared the video, all that stuff's great.
It was great.
But I would say, you don't need to reshare the video. You don't need to like the video. Put out your own post. Put your own voice out there. If you love David Lynch and you want more David Lynch stuff in the world, and you feel the sense of injustice that I have, whatever's wrong with me, it drives me insane that there's this thing made and no one can see it. Like, I don't know what that is. That, like, makes me crazy. It happens in lots of different parts of life. And when things are wrong and you see them wrong, I can't let it go. So if you're listening to this and you want to support this movement, and it has to be a movement, the only way this thing works is for a lot of people to say it and for them to know a lot of people are saying it. So, some people, they're reposting the thing or they're putting it on their own story. This is amazing. But if you're not tagging Paramount, they're not seeing it. And you're boosting our post, which is great. But I'm not in it for the clicks. I'm in it for the release. So I think the more people, and if we can get where are all my famous people at? Right? Now, nothing against Laura Dern. I'm blocked from messaging you because I tried to message Laura Dern. And it's like, if people don't follow you on Instagram, you get that, like, passive-aggressive message at the bottom from Instagram. It's like, you can't.
Oh, I see.
You can't talk to these people if you're not their friend, which I totally understand. I say that in jest. But I feel like we need a big fish.
Laura Dern didn't block you, to be clear.
Yeah, no.
Just okay, great. Because I was just
no on Instagram. As I've reached out to a lot of people, if you're famous, you don't want to hear from some random Yahoo or whatever.
Right.
But I feel like we need a big fish. We need some of these bigger accounts. I've talked to some bigger accounts, and they've said, "Oh, we're going to do something." So the more people, I think, the better. Not asking for a lot. Not saying you got to push my face out there. The Lord knows we don't need to see any more of my face. I got a podcast face to the world. Put a picture out. Just put the thing out. I feel like if everybody does it, this thing could happen, and that's all I want. Brent Simon, who is an author of The Dreamer's Path, that is the book about David Lynch, the actor, which I've started reading. A fascinating book. I highly recommend it. Hoping to interview him at some point if I can, when I get the opening in. He had pointed out, I had said Paramount Plus, and he said maybe Paramount Movies, I believe, is probably more appropriate because I think that's their home entertainment division. I say both. Let's just hit them from both sides because if it's on streaming, that's fine. If it's the physical release, that's preferred. And I would say it's Paramount Movies, one word, not Paramount_movies, which is another account that has nothing to do with Paramount. So learn that lesson the hard way. But yeah, that's it. It's going. I feel like it's got to get some momentum. The only chance it has to live is if it goes beyond me. So whatever help you could do, I would greatly appreciate it. If you don't like On the Air, you don't need to comment. I don't like On the Air, which I got some like, yeah, that's cool, but obviously I like On the Air. But also, people should have the right to make the decision if they want On the Air.
Right.
We have a David Lynch show that you can't watch. Like, doesn't that make people crazy?
The fact that you don't like On the Air, person who comments angrily in all caps, we get it. There's a reason it's not on the air right now. It's not the longest running TV show in American history. We get that. But for the people that exactly want to experience this, that's not in a quasi-legal gray market bootleg version of it and really want the full deal, man, I want to see that. I want to see it in a film transfer. That'd be amazing. So, passion project. Let's get this done.
Are you watching Inland Empire?
Oh, no. Are we going to be doing that? When are we doing that?
Yeah, we're going to do that next. I say that because I thought you were making a subtle Inland Empire reference because there's a part in that says the longest running radio play in history.
Axon N, the longest running radio play in history. Tonight, continuing in the Baltic region. A great one.
No. You said the longest running, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Dan's doing a deep cut.
No,
reference.
I'm not. Thanks for the reminder. I gotta watch that. I feel like I gotta have to steel myself for it for some reason. I'm really, for some reason, like trepidatious about watching it. I don't know why. There's something about it.
I don't know. It could be a disaster because it's so dense. But yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna do a listener mail episode sometime after this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will regroup for Inland Empire. I probably won't be able to maintain every single week doing a show. So we're probably going to take some break time in between as I kind of catch up. I'm very much underwater with interviewing people. I've interviewed people now, and I haven't been able to cut the episode, and I need to interview more people. And there's probably people that said he was going to talk to me. And believe me, I want to. It's I have to catch up, and I'm also trying to land 2 cast members, so that's in flux.
Oh shit!
I made a phone call today to a cast member that I never thought I would talk to in my life.
Is it about the bunny?
Before we get started, Dan, I also want to let you know about a Gathering of the Angels is happening in the UK. I heard from the nice people over at that festival that they wanted me to let you, the listeners, know that this September 26th and 27th, there will be, of course, another celebration of the world of David Lynch. There's many guests, but not all have been announced. So at the time that I'm recording this, Sabrina Sutherland will be there. George Griffith, that fucker Ray, of course, we're going to talk about him today. He will be there. And Harry Goes, of course, we know as Andy. Now, there's many other panels that are coming, and there's certainly new guests. So it's very exciting if you're in the UK. I'm a little far away, so I'm not gonna be able to make it this year. But maybe they'll throw us some tickets, Dan. You never know. The good people may send us a sack of cash. Don't have a lot of money, so the Patreon's going to have to get way bigger for me to make it to the UK. But
we'll get to take a ride in the FBI jet.
Yeah, check it out if you're in. We do have some UK listeners. All right, so that's it. Now we can get into it. Now that with that out of the way, let's get to where we were, which I believe we're talking about Windom Earle. So let's just hit the button. Shake the crime stick, whatever we do to go back into the dossier, the final dossier.
Has anyone ever asked us why we say shake the crime stick?
No, nobody
That's
asked
great.
anything.
That's so weird.
I'm on the plane now, in the air, east of Spokane. The uncanny penumbra I reported hasn't left me. I barely slept, but it's fading as I travel farther east. I don't know what to make of it. You wanted to know what happened there in that town and region to these people you knew, whom I feel I've come to know now as well. They meant something to you for a reason, I think, beyond just your knowing them, beyond that they were good or interesting people in their own right, because it was all there, in that one town. All of life, cradle to grave, every shade and color of the spectrum, like a fractal itself made up of infinite parts, the ocean in a drop of water.
Flipping through here, we got case file number 8 out of 18, Windom Earle.
Yeah, finally ready to talk about Earle.
I know. I mean, I feel like we got a lot of information from Dale Cooper's point of view from this supposed autobiography, but this is another take on him as well. So yeah, tell me about this.
Sure, this is a big one for, obviously we find out new information about Earle that we didn't necessarily know, and that he was a founding member of the Blue Rose Task Force, not mentioned in the return.
We called it the Blue Rose after a phrase uttered by a woman in one of these cases just before she died, which suggested these answers could not be reached except by an alternate path we've been traveling ever since. Gordon suggested an agent by the name of Phillip Jefferies to head the squad. He soon recruited 3 others: myself, Chet Desmond, and Dale Cooper. Perhaps you haven't failed to notice that I'm the only one of that group who hasn't disappeared without explanation.
No mention of Earle, however. This says he was a founding member, so we have to assume he's been erased from the ledger. You get a huge connection back to the autobiography. So it's interesting, like the stuff that's sourced back to the autobiography of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper, My Life, My Tapes, and the stuff that's changed, like his mother. We talked about that last in part 1 about how his mother in this book is much different than how she's portrayed in the autobiography. But here we learn more about that serial killer and the severed hands. That was was an interesting part of the book. It's set up that Earle was the killer, which that matches the autobiography, but that Caroline suspected it, as did Cooper, and they both sort of come to those terms together. The Caroline thing was always weird, because in the show, it's basically she is a material witness, but then in the book, it was like a material witness, and it's her own kidnapping.
It was, it never quite stacked up.
It was something strange like that, and it was like, okay, I guess
It doesn't quite work.
So it's fine. But yeah, so again, connecting him to that serial killer was a cool little thing.
We see in this dossier that Tammy has arrived at the conclusion that Diane's transcripts of all these tapes that we've been hearing for all this time, are heavily edited. So she says, been heavily redacted and modified. It's safe to say that Diane's motivations for doing so at this point are well known to us and cannot be considered consistently a reliable source. So is that part of like what's coming into play here between the two?
Yeah, totally. I think that one section basically says, oh, the reason why some of this stuff doesn't match up is because when she was doing it doesn't really 100% work out because I read the book before Cooper went in and would have come out and made the Tulpa Diane. But I guess she has messed with his transcript in the future. It's fine that I read it in the past because it's as if I'm reading it in the future. But belaboring the point here, it's to say, oh, that's why some of these inconsistencies. Right. Maybe Cooper's mother is the mother in here, and it's been altered to have her die of an aneurysm when he was a kid, when in reality her and her husband fought, and it sounds like she had some issues that he took care of her. So
it's a cool device just to have in here to explain that. So regardless of whether it works out 100% or not, it's a nice nod to it.
Sure. I don't love it so much because it is sort of like a get out of jail free card on everything.
You got to do something.
Well, yeah, that's why. Because it's also timeline changes. So it's like not only is the Diane unreliable, and because she's unreliable, all of his tapes are unreliable, but also the timeline has changed. So we're seeing changes that build and then get bigger. Even at the end of this, Tammy starts to not remember the real timeline. So it's a lot of change and a lot of unreliable narrators. But yeah, it's a great point to bring that up. You get more of Tammy as well. We revisit the idea that Cooper is on this hellbent on trying to save women from themselves. And it's an important detail, where he goes back and tries to save Laura, even though Laura has saved herself. And this is where Tammy questions, am I being too harsh on Cooper? And there's talk of, this is me adding in a bunch of bullshit, but there's talk of Cooper's obsession with Laura Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And I always see a huge parallels between Cooper and Lynch. And, Kyle MacLachlan has talked about he's basically doing almost an impression of David Lynch. And I can't help but interject my own interpretation that at some deep level inside Mark Frost, he's still processing the disagreement over Fire Walk with Me, because Mark Frost wanted it to be about, the future, and David Lynch was hooked and obsessed with Laura Palmer and wanting to go
that's
back. So
interesting.
I'm adding that bit myself, but it feels a little bit, I can feel a little bit of that coming off the pages.
I want to see a Mark Frost Fire Walk with Me as well, but yeah, maybe that makes sense too.
Oh, so you wanted to see a version that not Laura Palmer?
Oh no, I would also want to see more in the future. I don't know how anything would actually fit with what we ended up getting in the return. I'm not saying I would want that instead of, but I would also want to see. I just want more Twin Peaks. I want the universe, and I'd like that we get different perspectives from the two of them independently, and then we get the entire thing with the two of them collaborating. So what would that have looked like?
Right. But that was the big thing. It was like he was in love with Laura Palmer.
Sure was.
And couldn't let go, and I'm right there with him. I am right there with him, Dan, because I want to go back to Twin Peaks, and my Twin Peaks is Laura Palmer and the Palmer family. So let's go back to Twin Peaks, and we get more of Annie, or hashtag Annie Part 2. So we find out a couple of things here. 1 year to the day after she is found in Glastonbury Grove, Annie ends up trying to kill herself again. So she's taken to the hospital. She's living with Norma. And she ends up trying to kill herself again with these shards of broken glass, which remind me of the broken mirror that Cooper made when he hit his head into the mirror, when he shoved his head into it. And it all makes Cooper's emergence, without even asking about Annie, like hard to sort of understand. And it really feeds into this other thing that Vera Druitt actually talked about whether or not Diane is even real. Like this idea that all of a sudden we're following Diane, and where was Diane? Diane was someone we talked to, but it was all supposed to be about Annie. Really, how's Annie is what he's asking, and yet it's this so tragic, and she comes out and she's living and she tries to kill herself, and then she ends up in this home, and it's like, and yet Cooper doesn't even, it's not even a thought when he's Dougie, and then when he's Cooper, it's all about Diane, as if there is no Annie. So it's kind of strange. But as I said, how is Annie? We finally get our answer, Dan. After all these years, she's fine.
Well, apparently she's fine. She says, "I'm fine." Yeah. So I'll take her at her word. Yeah, this is just horribly depressing. Not obviously for Annie as well, but for everyone around her. Norma being the one person, the caregiver to take care of her, the only one to really visit her as she's being taken care of for the rest of her life. But I mean, it's eerie in the description that Tammy has of Annie, seeming like she's almost, time hasn't touched her, not a line on her face, because she's completely placid this entire time. Just to your point of just being out of the story. She's a non-entity, and just set aside in that way. And just 1 year, one day every year says, "I'm fine," and that's it.
Yeah, at 8:38 a.m.
Well, yeah, what is this? Is there a significance that I'm missing for that time?
Well, it's a palindrome, which is neat.
That is nice. I do like that.
It's two infinity symbols with a 3 in between.
Like a broken infinity in the middle.
But I assume it's the exact time Cooper would have said, "How's Annie?" in the room at the Great Northern. It said Doc Hayward accompanies Harry to the Great Northern the next morning. So I'm assuming at 8:38, he says, "How's Annie?" and she answers. You think about season 2, everyone's quoting that, "How's Annie?" Like that's the question, and then you never get an answer to it throughout all of the return. And she's there to answer it, and yet who's there to hear it? She's also in a lot of private facilities.
I'm assuming they're just the one, and they all end up there. Roommates, next door neighbors. They're all next door neighbors.
It's like a Marx Brothers movie with the 3 of them in one room. It's just Audrey, Annie, and who else? Nadine.
Nadine, just for a little while.
Although she's fine now.
They're all fine. All right, move on from here.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. It's just very sad that
it's just incredibly sad.
Not only is she forgotten in the return, but she attempts suicide twice. And so much stress on Norma having to take care of her, and
Yeah.
then no one visiting her, and then it really makes you dislike Cooper of the Cooper that would be in this book. That he never comes to visit her. He never, there's no one there for her.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there saying, I'm fine, and yet who,
Yeah, I mean, after all this, it's a...
no one even knows who asked the question, right? They say, like, they think she's responding to a hallucination or something.
And no one
I
could
think the
possibly
doctor
even
says.
know who she's responding to.
Right.
But, I mean, yes, this mirrors, obviously, when she was first institutionalized after trying to kill herself, and Vivian never even showed up, too. So it's not like no one's there for her.
No, always Norma. Yeah, let's get to Miss Twin Peaks, everyone's favorite chapter.
Miss Twin Peaks.
This chapter, why do we have this chapter? Because once again, we have to talk about Lana.
That's the only reason for this.
Second appearance. Like, you thought you were done with her. A lot of this also is just to clean up, in a way, the thing in the secret history where you're like, wait a minute, Annie won Miss Twin Peaks, not Lana, because it said Lana was the Miss Twin Peaks winner.
Sure.
And when we did that, we were like, wait a minute, that was Annie. She didn't win. But then they're like, well, actually,
She was given it.
because Annie couldn't live up to the needs of being able to, like, go to the horn department store and take some oversized scissors and cut a thing.
right.
They have their certain responsibilities. So Lana got it. So yes, she was officially Miss Twin Peaks. So that was not a thing that was wrong. I think this is all. Did they talk about the owl cave ring again here as well?
Yes.
This is where you hear that one of the accessories was the owl cave ring. I mentioned this last time. I don't need to go through it about, okay, well, if he has it, and then it would have went back into the lodge because it needs to go and do all its stuff. But then how does it get, it's got to go back in the lodge so that it could do all the stuff that it did so that it would come out on Annie for the nurse to take it, and then yet later on in her life she has it so that Trump can have it, because Lana briefly dates Trump and he's seen wearing the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish harm on anyone, even my worst enemy. But if something happens and they end up in the Black Lodge, whoever they are, I'm not going to complain.
Not explicitly named, so who knows who it is.
Yeah. Right. Yes, it could be some other. Is this the one where it has many dings about whether or not they're a real billionaire? Like, there's a lot of that stuff, because that was always a thing that haunted Trump, that it's all make believe.
Yes, but yeah, this is the one they were talking about. She was working her way up the Manhattan food chain, dating real billionaires when they were a rarity, and then briefly dated this person. Yeah,
she's also called trash as well. It's like there's really this, like, hatred of women that are seen as preying, like, social ladder climbers. Vivian and Lana both get the business. She calls her trash is trash or something like that. Or
she says, yeah, trash is trash, even if it's in a Tiffany bag, which is a nice line.
Right. So this is another woman in this universe that is seen as a, whatever, taking money and power or whatever. I'm not a huge fan of that.
But do you think that's what it is? Because so between her and Vivian, it's not just that they're social climbers, because Donna...
They're like parasites.
Yeah, because Donna kind of was, to an extent. You could maybe see that she was kind of being seen on the arms of different men and working her way up. It was more that, I mean, Vivian was just a horrible, awful person in so many ways, and it was in service of her social climbing. But even if it, she never got what she wanted in that regard, she was just a self-centered, horrible person.
Yeah, well, I think Lana's treated the same way. I think she's called a cousin or spiritual cousin of Vivian. It's written there. As a kindred spiritual cousin to Vivian Smith, her story lacks the edifying moral fiber I prefer in my cautionary tale. Because she gets away with it.
Yeah.
And so does Vivian.
Yeah, which I do like, actually. They both... It's, yeah, why wouldn't it be like real life and these horrible people get what they wanted?
Yeah, like there's no justice.
Like Vivian, I think Lana in this case, it wasn't so much that she's, you could imagine someone in some position just marrying and divorcing, but she's like... kills Milford, basically. Like, she is this Black Widow figure. But I do, Tammy does make at least a tacit acknowledgement of, like, not loving this mysterious Black Widow femme fatale sort of trope.
Right.
But yet, this woman really is that thing to her.
And she's not presented as a supernatural being.
No.
It's how she was originally portrayed in the show.
Yes.
And then they just kind of forgot it.
Yes.
Like when they first had her, she was like, had this allure over all the men, and it was almost like they were in a trance, and they were doing what even Hawk is out there, and Andy pouring the pitchers of lemonade or whatever.
Milk. It was milk.
And then by the end, it was like, all right.
Yeah.
We're over that storyline.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if that was motivated by the story or.
But here she's like just a regular person. I didn't get a sense she has that magic power.
I don't think so either. All right, let's move on from her to another weirdo. We got Dr. Lawrence Jacoby. Actually, call him a weirdo. I learned so much. I like this backstory for him.
He's all over the
in a
place.
lot of ways. Like, is he still a creep who we first meet fingering his hula girl shirt in a really obnoxious way? Absolutely, he's still that person. But you still learn a lot more about him in the background, too.
He gets forgiven of a lot of stuff. And by the end, you're like, oh, he's pretty cool. And he gets forgiven of more stuff, like even the stuff that we criticized him about in The Return, like this grifter nature where he's selling gold shovels. You find out, oh, he's actually donating all of his money to these charitable things. But yes, lest we not forget.
Yeah, they were boys. Laura was a woman.
Laura was a woman. Bobby and James were boys. It's like, dude, she's 17 years old.
Yeah.
You're her doctor. Her parents didn't. Yeah, like he starts out as one of the creepiest characters in the world of Twin Peaks. And then he softens a lot. And because Russ Tamblyn is so charismatic and likable.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's such a cool, interesting character that, you gloss over some of that stuff, which I think is a problem, and people are right to call some of that stuff out. I'm certainly always talking about how much I like Ben Horne. He's a horrible person.
Horrible.
But his horribleness is part of his character. Whereas I feel with Jacoby, that stuff's just kind of like forgotten. And that happens as a character evolves over episode to episode.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see. Like Ben, we've over all this course of time, your like of his redemption arc and where he ends up going. You were a big fan of him, coming from a horrible place and trying to be a better person, slipping and falling like a real person, and kind of making his way there. Jacoby, it just feels like in this background, he was just kind of one way. Then all of a sudden, in the middle, when Laura was around, he was just a real creep. But then after that, he's kind of an okay guy again. So it doesn't feel quite the same way as it did with Ben.
Yeah, and in this book. In both books, Secret History, it's established Laura's 18, not 17, which is how she is in the show. That was one thing that we brought up, which changes things a little bit, but I'm not sure how to.
Not by much.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It legally changes.
No,
things.
I know, right? But it doesn't change in
other ways, but
how she was being taken advantage of. Yeah.
Right. So we also get him tied more to Jerry Horn. So he's with the Grateful Dead, which makes a lot of sense if we remember. In the first book, when in the Secret History, there's that shot of his book that Dr. Jacoby wrote.
Yeah.
And one of the pull quotes was from Jerry Garcia. And now you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now why he got a pull quote from Jerry Garcia.
Right.
Jacoby also is hanging out with the quote-unquote little people of the South Sea Islands, which, of course, I'm thinking of the Man from Another Place in whatever connection. But you've realized some of his connection to Hawaiian mysticism and mythologies and things like that. I don't know anything about the little people of the South Sea Islands, if that's a real thing or just something that's in this book. I didn't look into the folklore involved in the little people, and I probably should have. But did you?
No, I
chance?
No, I did not.
Okay.
What I did like in this, was there a conversation in the Secret History that talked about the Giants and the Greys and there was a smaller race too, wasn't there, in that book?
I don't remember. I know the Giants. We see a giant. We see a giant owl. We hear about the Giants. I don't remember. Obviously, in the cave painting, there's the little person and the giant. That's part of it. I don't remember if they talked about little people. But this sounds like the little people of native South Sea Island culture is a real thing, like a real mythology, kind of like DMT elves. If you do certain hallucinogenics, that time's supposed to stop and little doors open in the the elves come out that maintain time.
We all know that.
Or so I've heard. One thing I really like about this is when we talk about the Kali Yuga phase, the Dark Age, that he sees coming in 2003, and it's what drives him back to Twin Peaks, which is a thing that, we're in now, which feels correct.
Yeah.
That if such a thing is true, I think we are in this dark age that, eventually we'll get out of it and it'll change. But it starts in 2003.
Does it give us a date when it ends? Because I'm barely holding on by my fingernails.
I know. I'm hoping we're at the end of this thing at this point.
It's 1,000 years of darkness.
Yeah.
All right.
As I mentioned, like his grifting appearance is cleaned up. He donates profits to progressive charities.
No, it makes sense, obviously, with the selling shovels. We definitely both had that sense of like, is he kind of scamming people and the donation? But now looking back, he was living really meager.
He was living meager.
Or not,
totally.
efficiently, I guess you would say, but like living in the trailer and doing this all by hand. It wasn't obviously a guy who was just making the money and living as a high roller. So that feels like it works really well.
100% agree. But I found it like funny, like ironically, that he's going on this thing about capitalist pukes and like all this stuff,
right.
And then immediately it hard cuts to like a very obvious like infomercial for only $29.95, and you see him ordering the shovels and painting them gold. It had like that level to it.
I think it works in both ways. Yeah, that was really nice. There is one line here. Tammy says, Lawrence Jacoby's over 80 years old now. There's an air of the Tarot's magus about him, the ancient archetype of a magician who's outlived or conquered the base temptations of life to reach spiritual serenity while maintaining the heights of his powers. And it just makes me think of magician long to see, but just the transformation that he's had over his lifetime. I just thought that was an interesting way to paint Jacoby. Not a way that I would necessarily have seen him, but it was a cool view that Tammy has of him. But tell me, let's go back and we can talk about Jimmy.
Yeah, we can talk about old James. I guess there's one other detail. We do hear the rumors confirmed that we were hoping for, that he's with Nadine.
Yay!
So Nadine and Jacoby are supposedly dating.
And we know this. I mean, we didn't know it, but you definitely saw this. So what does that make you feel any particular way about finally Nadine coming to her senses and letting Big Ed go and be with Nadine? But for a man, would she have ever come to that realization on her own?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think when he's driving by and he sees his own shovel and he stops, and he's like, oh my God, somebody's actually commenting on this post. And he comes over and you see the chemistry, and she just wants to be seen. He talks about seeing her in the thing. In my head, I think she's already writing an email right at that point, but I feel like she was going to release Ed anyway.
I hope so.
She's not releasing Ed because she's replacing him. She's like, oh, I'm with Dr. Amp now. I don't think it's connected. I don't see the two of those being mutually exclusive.
Good, I hope so. Dr. Amp was definitely a motivation for her, it seems, in the persona of Dr. Amp. It wasn't the relationship that they started that did it. So that's
right.
I'm glad you see it that way as well, because I really want that to be the case.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Dr. Amp, helped her spiritually,
right,
and helped her find herself and all of that. But no, I don't believe it was because she was replacing one man for another. Yeah, not at all. Not for me. Okay, so then the James stuff, right? So the entire James fixes a car storyline is said now to take place in Oregon.
Oregon!
Which doesn't really line up with the show at all.
Live nearby?
Yeah, Twin Peaks.
That's much too far for Donna to visit.
I never thought it was anywhere near Twin Peaks. I thought it was way out on the road.
Oh, I think it was like just outside, because Donna goes there. Like Donna just goes there. It's not like, if you look at where Twin Peaks is, it's in the eastern part of Washington.
Yeah.
Near the top.
Diane, 11:30 a.m., February 24th. Entering the town of Twin Peaks. It's 5 miles south of the Canadian border, 12 miles west of the state line.
Oregon is really hours and hours and hours and hours away.
Yeah.
So to me, Wally's Hideout...
But not in Twin Peaks for sure.
It's not in Twin Peaks, but it's outside of Twin Peaks. It's like maybe an hour away, not Oregon seems way too far
Right.
for Donna to then go meet at Wally's. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's fine.
I do know what you mean, but I guess I'm quibbling a little bit, like outside of Twin Peaks, meaning just outside the town borders, as opposed to it is just not in Twin Peaks. It is somewhere else. I just never read it that way, but
Yeah, somewhere in Washington state, not in another state.
maybe you're getting to this. The best part of this description of James's entire saga is this one parenthetical sentence in here talking about James stumbling into this role of the hapless murder scheme. Parentheses, I won't bore you with the details, is the best sort of like shade they could possibly throw on that entire storyline. None of this matters. I'm not going to bore you with it. Everyone hates it. It is like this acknowledgement that everyone hated that storyline the most. I loved it.
Yeah, it's universally panned. It's a good idea, though. Like, you know, it's interesting in a noir sense, but yeah, it didn't quite live up to it. James works for a drug lord.
Oh, that is the best part. I just gonna say whether or not it is actually Mark Frost saying like that storyline sucked and I hated it. I think it's more of a it is a acknowledgement that the fans don't like it. That's the part that I like about it. It's not comments on the show.
100%. I don't think it's cruel.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like we all feel this.
No cruelty. It's a fun line.
Even
It's
Tammy doesn't like that storyline. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, but let's get to the James goes out to Mexico. Poor James, man.
He has all these things.
He just falls from one thing into another and keeps getting himself up to his neck in things. It's so bad. But yeah, so he heads down to Mexico. He's auto mechanic, fixes a car for a guy, and that guy just happens to be a major drug lord and brings him on full time. I guess this kind of job you can't say no to, but he brings him on as his full-time mechanic to take care of his fleet of supercars.
And it's a very neat detail because when James abandons Donna, remember he sends her, like he's on his way to Mexico.
Dear Donna, you were right. I had to go. Everything feels different when you're on the road. It feels better. San Francisco's really cool. Next stop, Mexico.
And he sends her a postcard from California or San Francisco or something. So it like ties into that part of the storyline that, yeah, he was going to Mexico. And when he gets there, he's like a human table for some drug
Immediately.
He's hiding when they're raided.
Oh,
he's just he's portrayed as a very sad, unlucky person,
Hurley
which
luck.
is the Hurley curse.
It was the
that
Hurley
we heard
luck,
about
for sure.
in Secret History.
Yep.
He comes home broken. What does that mean, Eric? Comes home broken. Oh, he comes home broken. Okay, I figured that out. It's very sad when he comes home to Twin Peaks because not only is he physically broken, because we hear about this accident that you hear about in The Return.
Something wrong with that guy.
There's nothing wrong with him. James was in a motorcycle accident. He's just quiet now. James is still cool. He's always been cool.
But his whole personality, like all the color and joy are out of him, and he gets that job. He gets the job at the Great Northern Security. He's not riding his bike really anymore. It's just kind of a sad homecoming for James. And as we know, Donna's long since gone. What should have been his love is not even there anymore.
Yeah.
Nadine's Business, by the way, is a modest success right out of the gate. So that's.
I mean, everyone really wanted those Silent Trade Runners, so it's obvious. And also just the note of like James getting stuck in Mexico and needing, Big Ed was there waiting for him. Big Ed, Norma, taking care of people is just who they are. I like that detail. All right, should we move?
We can jump over to Margaret Coulson.
Let's go to Margaret Coulson. I mean, the majority of this chapter is the letter that she gives to Hawk. So I'm sure you want to talk about that. The metaphor that's in there of the library book is just absolutely wonderful. But I know you've got a big soft spot in your heart for her. So tell me what you take from this.
Oh yeah, I mean this is probably my favorite part of this book, I would say, just because it's so loaded with emotion, and then we hear that Hawk gets her log.
Yeah,
and he's still listening to it.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like I have to read it all, but it's probably too long to read. But I did want to read
the first paragraph is great.
Some stuff,
and then
I was actually going to read towards the end, but I can read the first paragraph too.
Every meeting between friends must end with a parting. And so, my friends, today we take our leave. This is life. None of us profits from ignoring or hiding from the facts, so why should we bother? Life is what it is, a gift that is given to us for a time, like a library book, that must eventually be returned. How should we treat this book? If we are able to remember that it is not ours to begin with, one that we are entrusted with, to care for, to study and learn from, perhaps it would change the way we treat it while it's in our possession. How do you treat a precious gift from a dear friend? That is a good question to ask, and today is a good time to ask it.
I love that. I find that so moving. It's such a good metaphor. Also because of her death and being able to kind of write this as a returning back to where she came from and just being very conscious and precious about the gift that we have for the time that we have it. It's just a beautiful way to express a sentiment that we have probably heard a dozen times before, but just in a beautiful way.
Towards the end, what I want to talk about is when she says, like, when darkness comes, a traveler learns to be brave, for they know the light will return. Anyone who spent a night alone in the woods learns this. When a dark age comes, and this connects back to the Jacoby thing, hold the light inside. That's where it lives anyway. There are forces of darkness and beings of darkness, and they are real and have always been around us. They're part of the dance, just as you and I are. They're just listening to different music. They may be the most troubling truth we will ever know. Many of us live most of our lives and brush up against this reality only rarely. It is far from pleasant, but wishing it were otherwise will not make it so. Now, I love this particular section because one of the things that I found fascinating about talking to Mark Frost is when he said evil is real. Like, he believes in evil, that there are evil forces in the world. I took that literally. And in this part, to me, is so illuminating that we're also the dark parts, and the evil people are living among us, and they're just listening to different music than we are, which is also connected to the dream world, and there's always music in there and all of that stuff. But it's out there. Like, this evil is out there and it's real, and most of us will live our lives and maybe will brush up against us, and some of us are unlucky and we hit head first into that darkness. And you think about him as a kid and his friend's sister that he had a crush on that was murdered. And that is a person that hit evil and darkness. So of course this would form his thoughts about such things. And it's true and it's scary, but the idea, there's hope in this. It's not about just, giving up. It's about holding the light inside. And of course, Laura being the one and the light, and how we have to
learn to recognize the light in yourself and others. In this way, you will find each other. Together, you will make the light stronger. This truth I know as sure as the dawn. Darkness will always yield to light when the light is strong.
Which is beautiful. So it's like, it's just it's a very apt passage for the times we're in now as well, I feel. So
absolutely.
He's like, I think one of the things on his bio is like something optimist or something. I got to look that up, and I think that speaks a lot to Mark Frost and his character.
Right. To be optimistic and to believe that we can hold back the tides of the darkness, but also still firmly believe they are real is a complicated thing.
Yeah. And that to really accept that evil is real changes everything.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that means there's some people that actually you cannot fix, and that there are forces that are not really to be bargained with. And I always didn't want to believe that's real, but I don't know so much anymore.
For sure.
Stoic optimist, that's what it says in his bio, and I think that's fitting.
It's a good description.
I love Hawk getting, just keeping an ear open just in case that he's got her log. Of course he should have her log. I like that.
No, that's a perfect ending for it.
Okay, friends, we are halfway through our final dossier, part 2, Extravaganza. It's a time, Dan. It is the time to break bread with our most favorite members, our warm bowls of Garmonbozia for the whole table. Of course, we got to thank Chuck Suffel, Gregory Flanagan, Dawn Adamo, my sister, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Charlie Tapper, Jake Jagello, Matthew Fuller, David Melito, Daryl Dyson, Dana Gould, Jeff, Henrik E., Concluding Remarks, Brian Johnson, Meerkats, Raga Raven, Evan Fitz, Dan, I'm winded.
I'll take over. We got Hazel Haywood, Ivan, William Schaefer, Jordan Carver, Matt W., Nick Webb, Kaylin Best Lawrence, He Who Is Clem Fandango, aka Luke P., Art Hill, Eva, Brian Chisholm, Nick McKenzie, David Titterington, Ethan Barry, May Surkoff, Wordy Ginters, Chris H., Patrick Weiss, Skeksis, Julian Zoller, and welcome Matthew Walker to the Black Lodge.
All right, thank you, people. Thank you for supporting the show, for keeping us going, even as we are ran out of Twin Peaks stuff, but we're continuing to move forward.
More David Lynch.
New and exciting things await, so we appreciate you keeping the lights on.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Well, let's go over from Margaret to Harry. It's time to talk about Harry Truman. I'd like that we start here. Cole had specifically asked Tammy to look into Harry Truman because he didn't ask Frank what was going on at all. So just wanting to know how his friend is a nice way to enter this. We get all the backstory of, the Josie's betrayal and his time with the Bookhouse Boys and everything. But we get this kind of explicit thing that is made implicit in the return. But Harry just didn't tell anyone what's going on. As far as anyone knows, he's just off fishing someplace. So it's just really sad. You would imagine this man who was a pillar of the community in so many ways, if he had told people, then the amount of support that he would get from the town around him would be overwhelming, but that's precisely what he didn't want. It's so sad.
And it makes it even sadder that he's got cancer. And where's Doc Hayward? Abandoned his family. He could have been there. Maybe he could have identified it earlier. Doc.
Man, you really have it out for Doc. This version of Doc anyway.
Oh, yeah, this is not my Doc.
Hashtag not my Doc.
Which is weird to say something about literally a guy who co-created Twin Peaks. This is his book,
right.
And that's his dad.
Right. He's wrong, though.
But I'm like, no, you don't know Doc, and this ain't Doc.
No, for sure.
No, we also learn, the plan is Frank comes in, he's going to run the station, and then eventually give it to Hawk.
Yeah.
Which is neat because if you remember back in the original series, when I think it's when Cooper becomes a deputy, the idea comes up and Hawk is like, "No, there's too much paperwork. I would never want that job."
You're the senior lawman, Cooper. Let's just let the rain fall as it has been. Besides, I hate paperwork.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you also learned that a lot of the stuff that was supplied in this dossier, or in both dossiers, came from Harry, from doing his own investigations, trying to figure out, what's happened with Cooper.
Yeah.
He is said to have supplied information, which is cool.
Well, he's never going to let that go. I mean, that night that he never speaks of, when his best friend disappears and then comes back later. Yeah, it's... Can't let that go.
I wish we got a little bit more, if there was a confrontation between the two of them or something that would have happened when Mr. C came out and him and Harry, but it's a story I guess we won't really know.
I mean,
only in our minds.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be sometime after he's taken to the hospital because up until that point, he just thought he was Cooper and brought it back to the Great Northern. But could it have been a time? But that's the only person that saw him.
Yeah, it would. Yep, it would have been sometime after that. I guess.
Yeah.
Because he's home for 2 days, I think, before he splits.
Yeah. Well, in the hospital for a day. Yeah. But anyway, the only people to have seen it were Doc Hayward and Major Briggs. So this is a big chunk we got here. We've had many allusions to what may have happened, but this is kind of a convoluted story because Tammy can't quite. She has a couple of theories of what might have happened and has a supposition of what the likely events were. It was made reference to earlier in the book as well. But yeah, let's dive into the details of Mr.
All right,
Briggs.
yeah. So we get a lot of confirmation on stuff when I'd made that big timeline of events that connect with this. I don't know if I need to rehash that entire timeline, but maybe I'll
go back and check that video
as it makes sense. Briggs learns about Judy, so that happens. He burns down listening post Alpha, or Mr. C does. It's Tammy is unclear about who actually does it. In either case, human remains are found in this crashed, burned-out car, including his own teeth, which we talked about last time.
Amazing.
She thinks it was staged. So do we. The major contacts at some point, and as I said, he burns this thing. I think he places the coordinates into a government computer, goes to 253 yards from Jackrabbit's palace, goes into the portal, hides out in the place above the convenience store, eventually contacts Hastings and Davenport. We also find out that Briggs brought with him the dossier, kept it with him, and then gave it to Ruth, which was discovered in the crime scene in part 1. So we had sort of talked about when we did the secret history, like, where did they find this? Because it was at a crime scene. They don't mention it in the return.
Got you. Right.
It would have been, if they did like a one line or something, it would have been like, oh, okay. But it was somewhere in like a trunk or something. But it makes sense. Maybe he was hoping that Ruth Davenport would carry on as the architect. Or not the architect, the archivist. Was it connected and somehow to her getting the coordinates? I don't know, but she's got it. He gives it to her. He's like, here, take this.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous to go alone. Take this. She theorizes that Milford gave Briggs the coordinates, which could be true, depending on when Milford would have interacted with Briggs. There's that part in the secret history when the voice changes and it switches and you hear about Briggs, and then all of a sudden Briggs is the archivist. So I guess it probably could be that happened, and then he could have given it to Briggs. Briggs could have investigated the portal with his son walking through the woods, and that would match up with Bobby's memories of spending this time and making up stories at Jackrabbit's palace. He knew exactly at a time when Briggs was just learning where this thing pointed to. So I think that's neat. Also, when Briggs needs to think, he goes walking in the woods, which this is unrelated, but it just was so nice and a way of connecting him with his son. So if you remember in the original series, when he has to go for a walk, like they're trying to figure out how to get to the Black Lodge, and they're in that cat and mouse game with Earle.
Major, I think you'd better hit the sack.
I could use a good stretch. Perhaps a walk in the woods to clear my mind.
Good idea. Don't forget the breadcrumbs.
Right.
Right before he gets abducted by the horse, the man in the horse costume, he's like, I got to go for a walk.
Yep. Well, that explains why he was going out for a walk. Yeah.
But it's nice because it's like, yes, it's fun to be in the woods, but it's also what he used to do with his son.
Yeah.
So that always makes me think of my own dad and everything. So it's great. Tammy said, this is where I do not believe Tammy for a second.
Okay.
Tammy says that the double killed Briggs and Davenport. I do not buy this for a second. He could have just gotten the coordinates off her arm. The entire time Mr. C is looking for the coordinates, the naked body of Ruth Davenport is in a field with the coordinates written on her arm.
Right.
So I don't think so. Tammy's wrong about that one. Sorry, Tammy.
I mean, yeah, we were led to believe that it was not him. It was the woodsman that killed them, right? I mean, it have to be. So
she's wrong.
We already know that. We've already established that there is this. We don't even know the relationship between the woodsman and Mr. C, of how well they're aligned, or if they just kind of overlap in sort of their directions. Though, but you're absolutely right. Her the entire time he's looking for it, it's right there on an arm.
Yeah, she's wrong. She's wrong. The box is said to be a trap, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
When you think about, okay, Mr. C builds this box.
Yeah.
Then he hires Sam via Hutch. Remember, we talked about Hutch saying, Sammy, remember Sammy, I still owe money.
Yeah.
Sam Colby, who was watching the box. Then Mr. C hires Tracy to flirt with Sam. And then remember all the guards are missing
Yeah.
when they have sex? Like mysteriously, there's no guards there.
The entire building's empty, yep.
Because Mr. C empties the room so that he puts Tracy in the room with him so the two of them have sex and complete like a sex magic ritual that will call forth the experiment, which is not unlike the sex that Richard and Linda have in part 18 that breaks them out of the story. So it's this sex magic, Marjorie Cameron, Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley thing.
Absolutely.
So that was really interesting to think about. We hear more about the Black Lodge and the Doppelganger and the Dweller on the Threshold. So it's just kind of like making it real clear that tulpas are tulpas and doppelgangers are doppelgangers, and it connects to Hawk's story about the Dweller on the Threshold.
Yeah, we just get Tammy kind of catching up to all of this and giving us a kind of rundown on it.
They also get into the ending here, which to me there's some confusion for me on the ending, as it's very inconsistent with what we see, and perhaps it played out differently in the script than it did in how, eventually the version that we see.
Oh, yes.
First, at the moment of death, we see Bob emerge. This checks out.
Yep.
We saw this.
Yep.
So this totally, yes. Second, Cooper is given credit for defeating Bob, but it was Freddy. Now, defeat is in quotes, and Freddy is referenced. So you could totally take this and say, no, we know it's Freddy because we're going to mention Freddy in a bit.
Sure.
He defeated him by just saying Freddy now or whatever. I don't know. It's a little strange, that part. Third, it is said that after Bob dies, they are taken to the coordinate location. And the coordinate location is actually 253 yards away from Jack Rabbit's palace.
Right.
Where the portal is. Not
the boiler room.
Where they go, which is underneath the Great Northern. And he says Gordon goes with him, and then Cooper disappears along with Diane. This is not what happens in the show. But then he does reference it later because he says, then it is said that Gordon describes what we did see. They appear in the basement of the Great Northern, and the Horton brothers are there. So did the coordinates originally point to the Great Northern in the script, and then they added that other part? Or was it the opposite, and they added that paragraph maybe after the show was done, and
right.
It's like, I got to make this line up with what we see? It just seems a little odd that they talk about going to the coordinate location and then also talking about under the Great Northern, when in the show you just go right to the Great Northern. So I don't know, do with that what you will. Yeah, so it almost, and I hate to do this, but it almost feels like, okay, it was supposed to go to the coordinates at the end, and then they changed it, and now he's maybe changing going back and doing a rewrite, and then like some of feels like two different stories at the same time, or maybe I'm just adding too much of myself to it.
No. I think it's because there is too, like we see in the show when the lights go out, we live inside a dream. Lights go out. Cooper, Cole, and Diane all disappear. And they appear in this endless corridor, whatever, that they end up in the boiler room, and the three of them are there when Cooper opens the door. There's no mention here of Diane going with them. She says that Gordon told her that it was Cooper and him in the boiler room. No mention of Diane at all. And then she comes back and mentions Diane as having come out of the jail cell that was in the basement, which is fine because they the whole memory changing of like it was Diane all along and not NATO is fine. Like that's a very cool, like interesting thing. But like none of these things really line up in the way that we saw on the show. So whether it is this or her memory getting messed with, the timelines getting screwed up, whatever it happens to be, or just like you're saying, maybe some rewrites because this was coming after the show was shot. Who knows?
Yeah, they mentioned Diane disappearing right along with him,
but not
having made
That's
that.
right.
And then the difference between those locations and why it's the coordinates. So
yeah,
I'm just wondering.
It's interesting.
It's fine. We hear a little bit, I guess we should say, we hear a little bit about Phillip Jefferies, so we're going to roll into Phillip Jefferies.
Let's just do that.
That does line up with the show, that he's talking to Ray to find out how to, that's where he learns that he's in where he's at. So we can jump into it.
Let's just dive right into that, because this whole timeline and everything is really gets filled out here as well. So yeah, please feel free. I'll let you cook.
Yeah, Phillip Jefferies is given the line what year is this that he's asking, because they talk about that scene from Fire Walk With Me. Now, that's not how the scene in Fire Walk With Me happens. Even in the missing pieces, where you get a little bit of like, what year is this? But that's when Gordon Cole says Mayday.
Can anybody hear me? Mayday! Mayday!
February 1989.
And then Jefferies says, February 1989. Here he literally he's saying Jefferies is asking for the date and year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to match it to the end here with, what year is this when Cooper says that. A lot about the year suggestive of time travel. Obviously, these people are going in and out of time or divorced from time. It's said that Jefferies is brilliant. So it's another brilliant FBI agent, and Jefferies is no different. It says while in Buenos Aires in 1986, he discovers Judy.
Right.
In 1989, Gordon says, you've been gone damn near 2 years, which doesn't quite work out, but that's fine. I don't need to pick out on these things. Should be 87. But let's just say he went off the grid sometime in 87, right? So
that's what I was going to say. He was keeping contact with them in Buenos Aires for a bit and then completely goes off the grid once he actually runs deeper into it.
There's no way that I would be picking those details there's the year. What year is it, right? We all have to ask that. Is it 1989? Is it 1990? Where are we? But it's good. It's light. It's only 2 pages. You don't get a ton about Jefferies. And it's understood. Jefferies was a character introduced in Fire Walk With Me. It's not a character that Mark Frost originally introduced anyway. But I don't know. Do you have any... I think the big thing that stood out for me is the fact that he asks, what year is this, which is the same thing that Cooper asks.
Right. No, I mean, this was all just, again, you've explained it so well in the timeline, and we've talked so much about Jefferies and Briggs and how all of this kind of plan put in motion comes together, and just seeing kind of more of those pieces here was useful. But no, otherwise, it's just kind of a little bit of retelling what we know from Fire Walk With Me with that change.
Yeah, and we get the Judy stuff more connected to Jefferies. We can jump into that.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about carving the name Judy until the next file.
Yeah, so let's go file 16 of 18. We got Judy.
So Joudy.
That's right.
Right, as opposed to Jowday. Is that right? Is that how we say it?
Jouday before. So yeah, it's had a couple different spellings.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's however you want to spell Judy. I believe Mark Frost has said it is Jouday is the proper way to say it. Jowday. But he's doing it in a knife and not a pen, so it's an interesting. It's like through violence. This connected to Judy. It's not just.
It's just an interesting image that he so urgently had to get this name scrawled down that he took a knife to a wall to write it down. Feels like maybe not the best way. Maybe it's the only thing at hand, but I like your description of like,
I gotta give me something. Give me something. I can't remember Judy. It's not like coordinates, like a long coordinates.
That's right.
It's just the word Judy.
Yeah.
You could have remembered Judy. You could have put that on a post-it
carved,
note.
not written deeply and hurriedly. Yeah.
Right. Now, Jouday is a Sumerian god, a wandering demon, an Utuka or Utuku that escape the underworld. They feast on flesh. They rip the souls from their victims. Now, they feed on human suffering, which feels very Bob-coded.
Yep.
Your Garmon Bosia. And it's said that Jouday indicates the female, while Baal is the male, which is like Judy and Bob.
Yeah.
And if they unite on Earth, and if Sarah ingested Judy in the form of the frog moth and Leland has Bob, Laura is their child, are they trying to say, or is he trying to say that Laura is, it could support the evil Laura thing that I had brought up. I don't believe it. But, the fact that the log lady warned us of the one under the moon, we're always hearing that Laura is the one. When Cooper goes to Carrie Page's house, there is the white horse under a blue moon.
Right.
So, and this white horse is always around with Sarah. For me,
But-
you already know where I feel about the horse and what that means, and it's the truth we don't want to see and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but I could still see, like, it doesn't have to be the evil Laura, because that's obviously the reading of these, like, two demonic figures mating, and they create this creature that brings about the end of the world as we know it. But that is what happens. It's the end of Twin Peaks. It's the end of this story. All of this is kind of because of that. So it doesn't have to be evil, but I do like the reading of it being Bob and Judy together. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the white horse, again, knowledge.
Yep.
It's the thing you don't want to see, the thing that's right in front of you, Dan. The horse is the white of the eyes, the thing the thing that blinds us. Sarah sees it before horrific events because she's there. She's there when Laura is hurt by Leland. She knows that Maddie is going to get hurt. That's why she sees it again before Maddie gets killed. She sees this horse. She knows the truth, but she won't accept it. That is the knowledge. That is Judy. So for me, yes, Laura is always a force of good.
Absolutely.
Not the product of two evil beings. I don't know. What do you think, though?
Or the product of two evil beings who doesn't necessarily also have to be like evil incarnate, is just the end of a cycle. I mean, I just can't imagine for me the log lady coming up to her and trying to soothe her in Fire Walk with Me, or seeing her in the diary as well. I just don't think that Margaret as that person would would be trying to help the demonic one. We all know that the demonic one really is little Nicky, so it couldn't be Laura.
Yeah, but the other thing is like, you could be like, well, what if Laura's doppelganger got out because she also had a doppelganger? And I would say no, because Laura has perfect courage, and when she goes to the Black Lodge, she goes to the White Lodge because she's she gets through it.
She did.
Do you have anything else for Jowday or Judy?
I want to talk about.
Yeah, before we get to it, but it is like a lot. It's such a loaded character. It's such a mysterious character that when you get like a file on Judy, which is not big,
not at all,
it's only another 2 pages, I don't necessarily walk away any different than when I started with Judy.
Well, I was going to say it's the part that feels of all this mythology.
And I don't want to know anything about it yet.
Well, of course.
Because that is what Judy is.
Of all this mythology that's been built up through The Return, but also the Secret Dossier, this feels the most like it could have been in the Secret History. This feels like it could have been in the Secret History. It was just a piece. Like, there's nothing all that new here from what we were learning about, opening the portals and the sex magic and Aleister Crowley and all that is just kind of put into kind of restating it in a way. So there really wasn't much.
You do get like a connection to Bob and the devil, like where they talk about Beelzebub as being this connected to this entity, and if Bob is a representative of that, it's like this evil that's been with us forever.
Yeah.
Although we see Bob's birth with the the nuclear explosion, the test thing,
or brought into this universe. We don't know that he was born.
Right, like an opening of a portal from one universe to the other.
I think that's more of the
It
implication.
does tie it, again, mystery to history, the Frost touch of taking these kind of strange concepts and then connecting them to our existing mythologies. Like, oh, Judy, that's actually this ancient deity, this ancient demon deity that you can trace back to some Sumerian text from 1,000 years ago or whatever.
Right.
The same thing with Bob, and that's where I tend to zag versus the zig. I like it when it's some outside thing that's deep in my soul that I don't connect necessarily to human history.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It does.
All right, that fucker Ray.
This is the chapter everyone's really been waiting for. No, but I do feel
bigger than Judy's.
It is one of the longer ones. It doesn't compare to the Phillip.
No, it's like a half page more, right?
I was gonna say it doesn't compare to Jacoby's, which was a tome compared to any of these other ones. But yeah, let's talk about Ray Monroe.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot here either, really. I mean, Tammy says that Mr. C sprung Ray in order to find Jefferies. This is true.
Yep.
I've mentioned that before. Mr. C learns he is at the Dutchman's because of Ray before he kills him. Neat detail that when Ray's body's found, they find that matchbook, and the matchbook's pristine, and it's tied to a long since abandoned motel in rural Montana. So we get some idea of where the Dutchman's is, or, you know, where it was, because it's sort of back in time or whatever.
And that it is that, pristine version of it that was freshly made.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
We see Ray's body disappear as he goes into the Black Lodge, right? Or no, we see the ring disappear.
Ray's body appears in the Black Lodge.
Yeah.
As does the ring. But his body stays in our
room. Okay.
You can see it on this TV screen. When you die with the ring, your soul goes to in my world, it goes into the Black Lodge.
I think that's right.
It's also said to lay between Missoula and Twin Peaks, which is where Maddie lives, and where, you know, poor Maddie. So it's somewhere in between there is this terrible place. She also believes if Jefferies thought Cooper was the double. Oh, she also questions if Jefferies thought Cooper was the double.
Oh, yeah. I love that piece of putting that moment that happens in Fire Walk with Me that I can't imagine was planned for all of this. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the story outline was beyond all of this, and maybe that was where this was all heading. But if it wasn't, and just taking that and fitting this story around that moment is really great.
Right. Well, yeah, in the context of Fire Walk with Me, it was still the same answer, because at the end of episode 29, it's Mr. C coming out as Bob, because we see Bob in the mirror. So when he says, "Do you know who that is over there?" It's still, still him as Bob through time.
But like the whole, like the time, that's the part. It's like the whole time travel. I guess they were setting that up with Jefferies anyway, because he didn't know the year. But it's
Fire Walk with Me is really the thing that plays with the timelines originally, because it is a prequel, and it is, if you watch The Missing Pieces, it's a sequel, because we do see what happens after. We do see more of that scene at the end. We do see Annie getting taken to the hospital. Yeah. We see Annie losing the ring. We see her talking to Laura from the future to the past. We see Cooper in the lodge, talking about how do I get out or whatever. And he's like, there's nowhere to go but home. So that really established all this stuff. But yeah, in that context, he said, "Do you know who it is?" He still does mean Mr. C. In the Fire Walk with Me. And then they just kind of ran with it a bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Ray Monroe, man. I don't know. Missoula and Twin Peaks. What might have the double learned there? Was it Jefferies who told him something about the coordinates that he'd given them that sent? Let me explain this. So she's still talking about these coordinates, and it's all fine.
Okay.
Well, we talked about that. It's really, I can't really add anything. Like,
no, I know. It was funny the way that you said it. It's like you're about to say something. You're like, no, that's fine. It's funny.
It was interesting to see, like, there's a 2-day gap in our knowledge of the double's moments between when he killed Monroe and when he showed up in Twin Peaks. And at that point, that's when he kills Monroe, right?
Yeah.
He drives to the Dutchman's. Yeah. He goes in the Dutchman's. He comes out, he sees his son, then he kills his son, and then he's taken to. And there was a lot of talk about timeline, and because we were seeing texts from Diane in the earlier that he was sending then. So it's like you're wondering if this is also a hint that Mr. C skipped time at some point when he goes into this place and when he comes out.
Yeah. No, that would make sense, because, remind me, when do we actually see him get pulled into the fireman's fortress?
Oh, that's after. So he comes out. He goes to he gets the coordinates from Phillip Jefferies.
Yeah.
They match the same coordinates that he had gotten from.
Oh, no, right. So he's, okay, never mind. Yes, he's at Jackrabbits, goes and does that. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. So I was just thinking,
the one coordinate doesn't match is what he gets from Diane. And then after he kills his own son, or his son dies testing it, he drives to Diane's coordinates.
What I was trying to picture in my head is when he gets placed back into Twin Peaks at the sheriff's office, it's like bright mid-afternoon sort of sun. But I'm trying to remember the last time we saw him, but that was in Jackrabbits. It was daytime. It could have been the day before. It could have been whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't really know.
Inspecting, he pops him out and goes through that whole thing. Oh, by the way, the callback that I forgot to mention, you had said if you remember, so Mr. C, he follows Diane's coordinates. He goes 253 yards from Jackrabbit's palace.
Yep.
He gets pulled up into the portal, and then he's like shrunk, and he's in this little thing, and then he's put into the movie screen that where he ends up at the thing. And you said, what does he look like? What does that thing look like?
Yeah, like a bundle of sticks sort of thing.
I think it's corn. I think it's the top of corn stalks.
Oh.
When I was looking at it, I was like, oh, because we're always seeing corn and obviously Garmont Bosia and the picture of the ear of corn in Gordon Cole's office. If you look at it, it looks to me like the top, the tufts of corn.
Oh,
so
that's
if you look at it again, let us know if you think it looks like corn. Because you asked me and I was like, I don't know. And then I was looking at it and I forgot to mention it, and that was so long ago. So here it just surfaced.
Yeah, so tell us what you think it looks like, and also tell us where you see corn.
It just surfaced today.
Just now. This moment.
It just surfaced today, and that's our next chapter.
Oh, I get it. Today. I gotcha. Okay. Moving on to today. So, file 18 out of 18.
One note on the file.
Yes.
It is kind of neat, like when you see on the bottom, it says like see also.
Yes.
And then you can follow those numbers and connect to other files that are related to the thing that you're reading about, which I thought was a neat little touch.
Wait, do they actually what do they connect to?
Yeah. So if you go like on today, it says see also 01181-1987. So if you go to all the files, one of them's going to have that number.
Oh, okay. I thought I didn't really pay much attention to it because I just assumed it was just, marginalia sort of stuff. I didn't know if
I literally did not follow everyone, but I followed a few. Like if you go to the Horns and Haywards, like it'll connect to Donna's file and all of those things.
I assumed it's either other files or if it connected back to like the secret history or something like that. But of course, it's all internal references. All right. Well, we're at the end of Tammy's investigative journey here. It's just like the one highlight that I have that jumps out at me immediately is don't even get me going right now on that oddball Cockney kid with the green glove. It's just a great reference. We don't get it earlier when we're talking about the battle with Bob, but it is cool just to have that there. And how much of that is like Frost or how much of that is Tammy? Yeah. It's funny.
This is where my theory kind of came from today. Because a lot of the stuff that didn't quite line up before is like kind of handled here.
Okay, go for it.
Like where it's like, there's a note that Gordon is left standing with the Horn brothers in the basement.
Yes.
So now it's like, actually, when he shot that scene, he decided they were going to be in the Great Northern and not where I thought they were going to be 253 yards from Jackrabbit's palace. So now I'm going to write this thing about the Horn brothers being in the basement. And by the way, I would have loved to have seen that.
Yes.
Like whatever was going on, like the lights go out or whatever, and the Horn brothers are just going down. They're going to find Gordon Cole just standing in the basement looking at that door.
Did Jerry get his clothes? I'm hoping Jerry got his clothes first.
Yeah, Jerry seems fine because both Horn brothers are referenced being there.
Okay, so it's good. Got him back from Jackson Hole.
They're also on. They also are there right when the lights come back on. So there's probably like a loud noise or something like. And then all of a sudden they're like, what? And then there's Gordon Cole. So that's neat. Big news here. So there's a real big news here is that life went on with Laura missing as opposed to murdered. So this is like the whole
this is it.
Thing that we have to talk about, which is Laura is not, she's not alive. I mean, she's gone. There's no body found. It said that Ronette is still found wandering on the tracks.
Right.
It said that Leo and Jacques took her to the train car, which is not something that happened originally.
Leo and Jacques took Ronette to,
They go to the cabin. They don't have anything to do with the train car, either of them. So, like, is the universe trying to make something happen? Is it like where Audrey has to get blown up? So these things have to happen. Ronette has to be traumatized and then be found on railroad tracks. And now Leo and Jacques take her there. And I guess they're the ones that beat her up. Did Leland still go out, looks for Laura? He can't find her. And then instead he follows them to the train car and then tortures Ronette and lets her go.
Well, I guess, can I ask you a question just to like establish some stuff of the way that it works in your head? When we see Cooper going back in time and taking Laura through the woods, and then she disappears, and we hear the scream, which is the scream of her being pulled out of the story from is that the moment that everything changes? Or does it ripple backwards and things change even before then? Where do the changes start and end?
I don't think it. I mean, I don't know. That could be your reading
For you. No, in your head.
I think at that moment, right? So then the timeline is normal, and that's why it's in black and white, and then it goes to color after he does this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the point of change. So she's supposed to meet Leo and Jacques and Ronette, and they're waiting, smoking butts at the car.
Yeah.
She never gets there.
Right.
So then they go and party, and I guess they still go to the cabin, but then they're like, let's go party at the train car.
Okay.
So what I think happened is Leo and Jacques don't take her to the train car. I think that maybe Leland he's out there, right? He's hunting Laura. He normally would have followed them to the cabin.
Right.
He goes to the cabin. Laura's not there, but he's got the bloodlust. He can't. Everything happens that happens in the show, the bloody towel, everything. And then he takes Ronette alone to the train car and tortures her, maybe, and then lets her out, and then she doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's dumb.
Well, she doesn't get out. No. I think it has to be that, because how else would you get to the train car? It doesn't make sense that they would.
But the police think that Leo and Jacques took her to.
But
the
they
train
also,
car.
yes, they were wrong
They
about
get
so much
things
to begin.
wrong, I guess.
But the only way
Harry?
that Ronette got out of there was because of Mike throwing the ring in.
Is Mike still going there?
Right. So, like, how does that work? Yeah, exactly. I don't think it would work.
The other option is that Leo and Jacques are like, it would be fun if we went to a train car.
Yeah.
And they just go to the train car and just beat her up because they beat her up and then let her go.
That doesn't make any sense to them either, because of the way they've had that relationship with her for so long. It makes sense to me that it would be Leland. But then we find out later, I mean, we don't have to skip ahead exactly, but like Leland killing.
No, he kills himself. Yeah, talk about it. 1 year later.
No, I want to linger on that for a while. But like, is Bob just still hanging out in him all this time? And Bob's finally like, I don't need him anymore, and offs him? Because he was going to pull the ripcord anyway on him whenever he gets caught. But is he just done now?
No, and it's 1 year later to the day, February 24th, 1990. So what happens to Bob? Is Bob real anyway, or is this all a metaphor for abuse, and now his daughter's gone and he breaks down because he realizes what he did? Is the events of everything that happened, because we kill Bob in part 17.
Right.
And then Cooper goes back in time. So technically, does Leland remember everything that he did? In which case we would say, okay, he's not Bob. He does not torture Ronette. They just go. They happen to go, right? So Jacques and Leo take her to the train car for whatever reason. She escapes. Leland becomes Leland at the moment that this happens, because they kill Bob in the future. And now he's free, and then he's with his guilt for a year. And on the anniversary of her being missing, he kills himself. Could that happen?
I don't know.
If Bob is an entity outside of time and you kill Bob with a green glove,
well, then
does Bob disappear from time in both directions?
Are you saying then that Leland still did commit all this abuse, but it was not Bob that was doing it, and that it was Leland? Or you say that didn't happen?
I think Leland still did all the abuse.
Yeah.
But now he's free of the excuse that it was Bob. Even though maybe it was Bob, but now that Bob's gone, he's hit with all of this guilt and realization that, oh my God, I did all these things. In the same moment that he has when he sees Laura, when he's dying in episode 16.
Right.
He pulls the ripcord, it all comes because Bob is now, as an entity, is gone. And then for the next year, he's just falling into depression until he kills himself.
Well, I will quote Tammy, quoting Albert, saying that this is a gargantuan multidimensional clusterfuck, because it really, how do you put all these pieces together? And I love that you can arrange them in a bunch of different ways, and they sort of make sense. You change them, and maybe this makes sense, but we don't have a real answer, which is kind of everything we've experienced in the return to this point.
We get confirmation that Sarah is the little girl with the frog moth crawling in her mouth. She's put in that location. Her dad's actually a subcontractor for the Manhattan Project. He's connected to the Trinity tests. We hear about how she falls into depression and alcoholism, and she still kills the truck.
Still happens. That was weird, but why not?
Yeah.
That guy had it coming.
So she's still Judy.
Right.
And, I don't know. And if Bob doesn't get killed in the past, because it's very weird. When you start getting into timelines, it's where it gets very confusing, because it's like when you break a timeline, you change a timeline, what happens to the fractured timeline, the unstable timeline?
Right.
Is it a Donnie Darko situation? We don't know.
No one knows. It is interesting that
know.
Agent Cooper still comes to the town a few months later to investigate the disappearance of Laura Palmer. I don't know why he necessarily would have been. It was because of the state lines and crossing over and all, but Rada Pulaski still would have been the cause for him to come there. I don't know.
Possibly. I mean, if Teresa Banks is killed, and there's an active serial killer, and they need a second body.
He's presuming there's going to be one, but yes.
Killer. But yes, then they found like, okay, maybe this is connected, but we could find this body. I can connect it. It's a reach.
It is.
Certainly. But that's maybe why he's like, I got to keep running on the railroad tracks to cross the state line
in order for
to
Cooper
justify
to come.
Cooper to come. But yeah, he comes and he leaves.
Yeah.
He comes, he investigates, and he leaves. And that is the new timeline that exists now.
Laura was never there. After a while, with a complete lack of tips, leads, or sightings to move an investigation forward, the Laura Palmer story began to fade. Within a month, it had gone cold, another missing person story with no clear resolution. As mentioned, I did find a few stories in the Post about Agent Cooper coming to town to investigate Laura's disappearance. There are not many details to speak of, and he didn't stay long, and nothing much beyond that.
As these timelines are changing, more so in the final thoughts, but we're told only Cooper or Gordon will remember the original timeline.
Yes.
At this point, Tammy does.
Right.
But we see that start to fade as she goes on.
Yeah, she mentions as she's talking to the sheriff's department and asking people about things, they get the hazy look on their face, and each one says the exact same thing. Yeah, that sounds right. That's how I remember it, about Laura disappearing instead of being murdered. So the way that all of this completely messes with their brains. I don't know if we actually, this is in the same chapter here, because as you said, we kind of place Sarah in the desert with the frog moth, and her middle name of being Judith is just a nice detail as well. So connecting her there.
Yeah, if you didn't believe me for Judy, her name is Judith.
It should have been Judith Sarah Palmer. Eric, let's get into the final thoughts then.
I don't really have much else except for the final image. It's not, the word isn't triptych because they're not separate images, but there's these three faces at the back of the book. So you have Bob, you've got a woodsman, and what looks to me like Sarah, right? That's Sarah.
I mean,
it's very dark, so it's like very bluish ink on dark paper, but I think that's supposed to be Sarah. So is this like Bob and Judy that we're looking at here, these like trinity of evil? I just don't see Sarah as evil. I see the metaphor of a woman destroyed by the knowledge that her husband was abusing her daughter, that she was abused, and that she never came to terms with it. And then when she was presented with Judy as the knowledge of this thing, she went to darkness, whereas Laura triumphed over her father. And that's the only way I'll ever be able to see this show. But yeah, I mean, it's a striking image at the end. That's Sarah, right?
I mean, around the eyes, it looks like her, but everything else looks so distorted. Like she's looking at profile. I imagine her like looking at the TV screen of the antelopes, or whatever the lions stuff. Yeah. Anyway, just the final thoughts from Tammy. As you mentioned, as she's flying away, she's able to like leave the haze that's in her head that's surrounding her in Twin Peaks. Just this moment that she says here, maybe we just play this bit because I really do like it.
How much of what I know, what I've been culturally attuned to believe, feels like the set of a play on a strange stage I've wandered onto without knowing why I'm here. I don't know the lines. I don't know what part I'm playing. I don't even know what this play's about or what it's called. I'm just here, on stage, stuck in a dream, lights shining in my eyes. Is anyone out there watching? The play stumbles ahead, feels like artifice, mistakes, frippery, an endless series of false starts, bad assumptions. all the while shadowed with the constant horror that something unforeseen could drop down on me from above or lurch in from the wings at any moment, that the floor could open up beneath me and instantly erase even this small, pitiful existence, put out the lights for good. Chief, this has changed me.
Again, a stage, lights, the stars turn, and a time presents itself. It is a story.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll see you at curtain call, Eric. Yeah.
That's what
it is perfect
for me.
Well, I can't believe
we've
reached the end of all the official Twin Peaks media.
There is no more official Twin Peaks media. Whatever are we to do? Well,
there's no coffee commercials that we missed someplace. They weren't selling Tootsie Rolls. Nothing.
Well, actually, there is something. There's a board game. There is a board game. There's a Twin Peaks board game, which I don't have. It would be almost impossible to find, and it's supposed to be horrible. But I kind of want it. And I would definitely play it on Patreon, but it's supposed to be terrible.
Of course you want it.
But it's hundreds of dollars. But people say it's bad. Like, it's not even fun. It's just not fun.
Oh, well, that sounds great.
But it's full of, like, lore, and I think they get a lot of stuff wrong. And there's, like, things, like the rules mention there's 6 cards and there's only 4 cards. Like, something was going bad on here.
Wow. It's not like they were rushing it out to try to cash in, were they?
Hey, if you're out there and you own the board game, send me some photos. I would like to see, I know you can go online and find
give us a tour of
photos of it, but I would be curious to know your thoughts and to see some pictures from it, because it's something I would love to own.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. If we missed any Twin Peaks thing, I can't think of anything.
Let us know. Well, maybe that's a perfect thing for you to ask us in a Q&A, audience feedback. We got a mailbag. So let us know if there's something we missed that you think we ought to take a look at, or maybe we have seen it, we forgot to mention it, which, knowing Eric, that's impossible. If it existed and it was in the universe, you would have found it. But yeah, is that what we got coming up next time?
Yep. Next time is the listener mail. We'll do a public one, and then we'll do additional ones, on our Patreon, and then we'll take a break, and there'll be some more interviews coming up, and then Dan and I are going to break Inland Empire up into maybe 6 parts.
300 pieces.
I want to break it up. I've seen it many times, but I want to watch it again and find out the most logical places to break it. I don't want to just say it's 3 hours, it'll be in 3 parts, but we're not going to do the whole thing at once. Although, for listeners, I think you should watch the whole thing, and then we dissect it, because it's important to see the whole picture before you jump into the individual pieces. It's a very great movie. It's not for everybody. I'll tell you that right now, but it's definitely for me.
Oh, great. Sounds good. So we got Inland Empire, and then after that, we'll be able to watch on the air on Blu-ray, because this will have all worked by then.
Thank you, Dan.
Right, guys?
Thank you for bringing it back to that. Please let people know. And you know what? Someone was like, I'd rather see Hotel Room. I would love to see Hotel Room.
Fine.
Yes.
Let's do all of it.
There's no reason that's not available.
These are not mutually exclusive. What if it was a Lost David Lynch collection? Wouldn't that be incredible? Just get them all together. They've done incredible business with box sets. So everybody, I'm guilty of this too. I commented and reposted Eric's video on this. I need to take this step here and post this myself. Please, everyone, do the same. Let's make this happen. But until then, get your questions into us. Eric's got a ton. Anything you want to answer on the next episode, let us know.
And let's see you next time.
Oh, also goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.